I love being an American. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna shy away from that. Trump controversy aside, I still very much love being an American. I love my home country. I love the freedoms that we have here that aren't afforded to other countries that I do ultimately wish were. And when it comes to Europe, my God, what are you all doing? Like, what are you all doing? You have to have a license in order to watch pornography? Like, really? Someone's gonna drop a $8.99 multi item pass in order to access some naughty adult websites? Man, people are downloading everything right now. If you don't think that the internet's not gonna create a digital black market for that, you are mistaken. But that's not the big problem of the day. That's actually going through here pretty soon. The big problem of the day, obviously, is Article 13, which we all knew was going to pass despite a lot of tech companies coming out and saying how bad it is. It's still passed in the EU, and that is not good. That is not good at all, because I know a lot of content creators in the EU that are now going to find themselves in a very, very, very tricky situation. My friends in the UK might be thinking to themselves, hey man, we got Brexit to come and we ain't gonna have to worry about this. Ha ha ha. Yeah, but it's been delayed and the likelihood of a second referendum is probably pretty high. So I wouldn't get your hopes up necessarily about leaving the EU. You want to. It's been nearly 3 years. Hasn't happened yet. So anyway, that's another fight. That's another fight. But the whole situation here involving Article 13 is just, it's sad because we don't really have a precedent yet for it. And that's, I think, the scariest part. So the idea here is that tech companies like YouTube and Google and Facebook and Twitter will then be responsible for the fines associated with copyright infringements by the users. So if somebody uploads something that they don't have the rights to, the copyright holder could then sue the publisher, essentially, right? Sue the publishing company, or in this case, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc., and they have to pay for it. And so they don't want to pay for it. They might support free speech and free expression, but they sure as hell are not going to go and pay for that. So what are they going to do? They're just going to shut it down. They're just going to start shutting down channels and blocking content and installing stronger, stricter, more stringent filters that are only going to squeeze the lifeblood out of many people in Europe who do this for a living. And not just them, but literally like anybody who enjoys to share memes on the web. Like take Pepe the Frog, for example. You might think, oh, it's an open source meme, right? A lot of people use Pepe the Frog. There's never been a problem with it on a copyright level. Well, prior to 2016, I would have agreed with you, but Matt Fury, the dude who created it and then subsequently forgot that it was in the public domain or allowed it to remain in the public domain, infinitely remixed ad infinitum, or, whatever. And then ended up coming back out because some alt-righters picked up on it and going like, it's mine now. Never mind allowing it to be out there in the open for as long as he did without problem, has created this big issue. So people in the EU who might like Pepe memes can't use it anymore because this dude will go after you, legally speaking, for that. But other people have said it's not that big of a deal. Other proponents of this particular bill have said it's not that big of a deal. It's really not going to impact many people. But when it comes to YouTube, it is going to impact people, because what we're seeing here essentially is like people, especially who bring you the news, people who like to read you articles, right? Some might call it boring content. I call it actual content, because the idea here essentially is that you, the creator, are creating a conversation with the audience, and the person who wrote the piece, the author of that piece, is ultimately the second person in the conversation that you're just responding to, although they're kind of mute and can't fight back. So there's a lot of it like that. Those people are going to then be in trouble, because guess what? Even though you might think, oh, it's a news article, it's not a big deal. No, there's copyright associated with that article because it's owned by the publisher. So if someone like Sargon of Akkad reads a Guardian article, the Guardian can then go after YouTube for Sargon reading the article. So then YouTube says, sorry, Sargon, you out, and they boot him. And that could very much happen. That could very much happen. So this video I'm making right now, not showing any assets, not showing anything else other than me and my backdrop, would generally be considered okay, with one exception: my hat. Now, my hat has a stormtrooper on it. My hat has a stormtrooper that's right there. It's a custom hat that I bought at Comic-Con a couple years ago, and ultimately it could or could not be seen as a violation of Article 13, depending on maybe who's watching or maybe who's paying attention. The people who own the copyright to the hat might sit there and say, you don't have a license to be able to wear that in a video. Now, granted, the shirt has no logos on it, so there's nothing wrong with that. I own that logo behind me, and everything else would be fine except for this. And this, while it might be small, is ultimately going to end up being a problem. Now, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know what people in the UK, in the EU, are going to be able to do to fix this. I'm not even 100% the best source of info for all this, but I just want you guys to know you have my support. So whatever I can do, whoever I need to go and help yell at, count me in, because this is an issue. This is a big, hardcore, heavy issue that needs pushback, and it's unfair. I understand the desire to want to clinch down on copyright. I get that. But this is not how you do it. This is not how you do it. Some people have said Europe is burning as a result of this, as well as the porn license, which, man, seriously, that to me is just weirder than this one. But whatever people like me can do to help being across the pond, let us know. We're down. This is something that may not impact all of us, but it definitely should. And so, the fewer voices that get the opportunity to speak on this platform because they're being silenced by a very dumb, overbearing anti-copyright law that or pro-copyright law, really, that makes very little sense, and it's going to be utilized in very horrible and damaging ways, needs the support. So let me know.